Hey, what's up? Welcome to Father in Our Future. I'm Anthony Vandegrift. I'm not the perfect dad, but every day, just like you, I am trying to be better. Today, I want to revisit expectations because as dads, we should be revisiting expectations. Expectations are one of the most challenging areas for us, for parents in general, because we don't know what to expect when we have kids. We can read the books and we can talk to other people, but until we actually experience it ourselves, we really have no idea what we are getting ourselves into. And so expectations often cause us to feel frustrated. They cause us to feel like a failure because we have ambitions, dreams, goals. We have things that we are pursuing in this life. And then we have kids. And then we find ourselves coming up short. We're not able to do all the things that we want to do. We feel like we fall below the standard of excellence that we've set for ourselves as individuals. And it's frustrating. I want to help you with expectations today because I think we struggle with expectations because we don't fully envision what we are doing as dads. So let me start by taking you to the scriptures, and then we'll go from there. I want to take you to Luke chapter 14, and I want to read verses 28, I think, through 30. Jesus is speaking, and he says, "Suppose one of you wants to build a tower. Won't you first sit down and estimate the cost to see if you have enough money to complete it? For if you lay the foundation and are not able to finish it, everyone who sees it will ridicule you, saying, 'This person began to build and wasn't able to finish.'" And similarly to the individual who does something like that, when we as fathers, when we fail to envision what we are doing as dads, and we don't really count the costs, we'll find ourselves like this individual who hypothetically didn't count the cost for the construction of this tower. When things come to a standstill, when things halt, this person is going to be left feeling foolish, frustrated, and like a failure. And it's due to the fact that this individual didn't have the scope, didn't have the full vision of what they are doing. So that's what I want to talk about. I want to talk about this full vision and this scope. So let me paint the picture this way. Imagine that you have a job at a nice company and you're not accountable for anyone else. You're not a manager. You're just an employee in the pure sense. And you do your job. You clock in, you clock out, you get your individual bonuses. And it's just all you. Doesn't matter. Your job is not impacted significantly by anyone else. You do your thing, you do great, you have a high standard of excellence for yourself, and you hit the mark every time. And that's you. Now, let's say in this hypothetical scenario, someone from the corporate level comes to you and they say, "Listen, we're having some issues, and there's going to be a change in who runs this thing, and we need to really spice things up. We have followed your track record, and we see that you are always overperforming. You have a high standard set for yourself. You have rapport with anyone who knows you in this company. And while this may seem like a bold move, what we want to do is give you the CEO position." Now, let's say you take it. And you take it, but you still have the mentality of an employee. You have this individualized standard of excellence for yourself. And you start to figure out that as you were trying to do all the things that you feel you must do to be excellent, the company is still suffering because no one is getting the guidance that they need. Nobody is getting the leadership that they need. Nobody is getting the attention that they need because you're focused on making sure that you look good. When you step into a position of leadership where you have responsibility and accountability to others, you can no longer think in this individualized context. You cannot be the employer and function as the employee. You have to change things up. You have to start thinking like the employer. You have to see the full scope of what you are doing. Now it's not about, am I going to hit my numbers for the quarter? Now it's about, I need to put this company on a trajectory so that all of these people that rely on a paycheck to put food on their table, clothes on their back, a roof over their head, so that they are continuously blessed financially, so that they can get their bonuses, so that they can get their benefits, and so that they can have confidence that this company is not going to go anywhere. It's not going to tank. I need to boost morale because there are things down the road that we want to accomplish. When you find yourself in this elevated position, you can't just think like an individual. You have to start thinking on a bigger level because it's no longer just you that you are responsible for. Now, I don't like to talk about fatherhood as a job because it's not that. So just run with the analogy. When you got married, in my case, I think I could say that I stepped into the most selfish part of my life. Because when I got married, I moved out of my parents' house. It was just me and my wife. Now, I'm not saying that this was a time for me to do whatever I wanted, but for me and my wife as this union, it was a time for us to do whatever we wanted. Convenience was king in our world. We could do whatever we wanted, whenever we wanted. We didn't have pets. We didn't have children. If we wanted to take a trip, we could take a trip. If we wanted to go impromptu, eat somewhere, or go watch a movie, we could. If we wanted to stay up late and be irresponsible, we could. We didn't have to wake up at 1 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning, 5 o'clock in the morning to take care of a baby. We didn't have to do any of that stuff. So I would say, if you're anything like me, when you got married, you likely stepped into the most convenient and selfish period of your life. But when you introduce a child into that, you sacrifice your convenience. But we don't always comprehend that. We don't always make the adjustment to starting to think from the individual context to the family context. Now it's not just me. Now I have a family that I need to take care of. And it's not just I need to take care of them today, but I need to make sure that they are developing properly so that when they get to school, they actually understand and they can do well, so that they'll do well enough so that they can take that step into college, if that's what you want to do, at least so that they can take that step into the workforce, however that looks, and so that they can be someone who contributes to society, so that they can find a spouse and marry someone that they will be committed to, that they can find someone who will feel the same way about them, so that they can understand the beauty of having a family and bring children and raise them in a way that is worthy of full respect, that is God-honoring. That's what you're doing as a dad. You're not just focused on, I need to make sure they eat today. And sometimes you get overwhelmed, and sometimes that's how days feel. But this thing that we're doing is not just a day by day, let me think about it right now. There's a big vision. There's a full scope of what you're doing as a father. And if you don't catch that, you're going to find yourself constantly feeling foolish, frustrated, and like a failure because your expectations will not be right. There's an old video of Jordan Peterson. He did this, I think, 2 or 3 years ago, and I could be off a little bit because you totally lose your concept of time when you have at least 3 or 4 kids. But he was doing this series where he would sit down with parents and he would essentially counsel them on video. And there's one clip that I'm thinking of in particular where this woman says, how do I go about getting my child to understand the sense of urgency that I have and get them to do what I need them to do right now when I need them to do it so that we can be where we're supposed to be? And Jordan Peterson asked for some clarity, and then she gives the example, and probably the big thing that mattered to her. She says, I like to be to church on time. Church starts at 9:00. I want to be in my seat by 9:00, ready for worship to begin. I don't want to be late to church. And so he broke it down like this, and this was masterful. He said, so let's say you're going to be responsible for bringing your child to church over the next 15 years. And he calculated that, and this made me laugh. He calculated that at 750 visits to church. Now, clearly, this is not like a charismatic Pentecostal upbringing, because I think about myself. If you're anything like me, I probably went to church 750 times within the course of 6 months, because we would go twice on Sundays, once on Wednesday. And if we had a special speaker, we were going Monday and Tuesday and probably Thursday. And then it felt like every other weekend there was a youth event on Friday or Saturday night. So anyway, that I just laughed at that. But so he says, so you've got 15 years, you've got 750 times. He said, as you're working through this to get it right, let's just say you fail 20 times. You fail 20 times. And 20 times you're late to church. But because you took those 20 failures to work through it and to perfect the system, he said you have 730 successful visits to church. And when you begin to think about it that way, it changes everything, because you're not focused on every battle. You're focused on the war. You can lose some of the battles and you can still win the war. And this is how it is with fatherhood. This is how parenting goes. When you have the full vision of what you are doing, that it's not just about the individualized day to day. While that has its significance, it's not only about that. That has greater significance under the umbrella of the full vision of what you are doing. When you understand, I'm raising disciples, not just in a biblical sense of I want them to be biblically literate. I want them to have an understanding of their faith. Yes, big part of discipleship. But being a disciple, being a student, the Bible gives us direction for life in every area. So as you're raising a disciple in their faith, in their finances, within the context of sex and marriage and family, within the context of individualized excellence and honor and reputation and how to think, having the right mentality, how to conduct oneself, how to take care of your body, as you're teaching them about life, you have to remember that it's not just I cram everything into a single day. You're charting out how over the next 18 years am I going to take this child, this blessing, and disciple it so that when they have the opportunity to step out of my care, they can do so with confidence because they have been rightfully instructed. Your expectation needs to fall in line with that. It doesn't mean you lose the standard of excellence. All it means is you're changing the target. Your target is not for this week so that you get that bonus or that incentive. It's not for this quarter so that you can get that merit raise. It's not for the single year so that there's some big annual contest that you can win. You're not looking in the small times for your expectations. You're looking big picture. Okay, my child's having a rough patch. That's fine. They can struggle through this. They can have their faith crisis. Let them have it in your home. You don't have to win every argument or discussion when it happens the first time. You can let them wrestle with challenges because you have time. Sometimes I think parents do so much damage because they react and then they rush. They think if I can just squash out what they are thinking as quickly as possible and just tell them what I need them to think, that will be okay. And that does not work. It does not work because it goes against the whole goal of what you were doing. It's not small picture. It's big picture. So as you revisit your expectations, which I think this is a good practice for us as dads, we should continually do this. We should take pause and we should evaluate how we have done as dads. And then we should correct if we need to correct. Maybe I'm rushing this too fast. Maybe I have time. For example, I took my son on a cruise last June, 8 years old, and we talked about sex. We talked about growing up to become the man that God created us to be. And so we talked about integrity. We talked about work ethic. We talked about how to treat people. We talked about respect and honor. We talked about stewardship. We talked about finances. We talked about marriage. We talked about sex. We talked about all of it. But it wasn't done in a way so that I don't ever have to do it again. It was an introduction. It was, you're getting ready to step into a big, incredible life. And here's a little bit of what that's going to be like. I did that at 8 so that over the next 10 years, while he's in my home, if he's like, Dad, I have a question about sex, we can handle it. We can address it. I'm not going to wait around for the one time where at this point I've procrastinated so much, I've got to say something. If you do that, you've waited too long and you've likely missed it. So, as you revisit expectations, evaluate what you were doing and how you were going about it, and really challenge and ask yourself, am I doing this in a way that sees the full scope of what I'm doing as a dad? Or am I trying to expedite, speed this up, and get it over with? Because if that's what you're doing, then that's about you, and it's not about your kid. And now, as dads, we have sacrificed our convenience. We've sacrificed our convenience for our kids. They are our mission. They are what we are focused on. They are the ones that depend upon us to disciple them. So, one more time, as you evaluate and revisit expectations, make sure that you're not looking at the small moments. Make sure that you're seeing the big picture so that you have the full vision of fatherhood, and then allow that to form and shape your expectations. Let's pray. Jesus, we thank you for your goodness. We thank you for your word. We thank you for wisdom and clarity that you give to us as dads. I pray that as we continue this journey, this challenging journey that you have blessed us with, that we call fatherhood, Lord, I pray that we would see clearly the full scope of what you have called us to do as dads, so that with that vision, we can form expectations that are right, expectations that are helpful, expectations that will not cause us to feel foolish or frustrated or like failures. I pray that you would help us in this area and that your Spirit would keep us as we waver back and forth like our nature is. Help us, God, to stay focused on what we ought to do as fathers. Help us to stay focused on maintaining expectations that see the full scope of this beautiful thing that we call fatherhood. Give us the strength to be faithful and to stick with this for your glory and for the benefit of our children. In Jesus' name, amen. All right, well, that's that. I want you to know that if you have struggles with fatherhood, which you very well may, it's okay, and that's normal. I want you to know that I'm here for you. And if you need help, you can reach out to me. hello@fatheringourfuture.com is how you can get a hold of me. I also want to let you know, if you've stuck around this long, I'm going to go ahead and throw the marketing pitch out to you. I have put out a few products that I think truly will help you. The first is my devotional, Following Our Father. There's a physical copy that you can get on Amazon, but there's also a digital copy that you can have on your device wherever you go. It's convenient. It's not an extra thing that you're carrying around. Adds no more bulk to the bag. You can just have it on your phone and read it that way, and it's only $6 in the digital format. So it's a little cheaper, and it's more convenient. There's that, and then I also went and I created some digital decks of question cards. Now, I have the ones from Dr. John Deloney, and I love them. Our family, we love them. When it comes time for dinner, we pull the deck out and we go through the questions. But sometimes communication is challenging, and it would be nice to have some sort of an aid to help get a conversation generated and get a conversation moving. So that's why I created my own questions in a digital format so that you can save them onto your device, onto your phone. I open mine up in the little iBooks or Books app, whatever it's called today, and I just slide from one question to the next with the kids. I have a deck for dads and kids, and because Valentine's Day at this point has already happened, but because of that, I created one for husbands and wives, and if you buy one, you get the other one for half off. So there's going to be a link in the description. You can get that and help yourself because it's designed to help you. So anyway, if you need me, hello@fatheringourfuture.com, and I'm here with you all the way. But I want to thank you so much for being with me today. This is Fathering Our Future. I'm Anthony Vandegrift, and I hope you'll join me next time. Hey, one more time, I want to thank you for listening to Fathering Our Future. If you're not subscribed to the podcast, please do so wherever you listen and consider leaving a nice review because I would appreciate that. But if you're not connected to Fathering Our Future on social media, you can find it on Facebook, Instagram, and YouTube, and there you're going to get some additional content on a more regular basis that you don't always get here on the podcast. Now, the last thing that I would like to ask of you is that you would consider becoming a financial partner of Fathering Our Future, because dads make a difference, and dads are not disposable. Dads are vital, and they are essential, and they are needed. And the impact that dads make doesn't just reside in the home, but it has a ripple effect that goes to churches and communities and culture. And I'm inviting you to be a part of equipping and empowering and educating dads to be the dad that God has called them to be and that their children need them to be. You can become a financial partner with Fathering Our Future. It can be a one-time contribution, a monthly commitment, but by doing that, you play a direct role in impacting dads. You can check the link in the description below. You can pray about it. You can get on board. And I thank you in advance for becoming a part of Fathering Our Future in a special and a dynamic way. God bless you.